Okay, well today's going to be a special day because we're going to make something that in the South, in New Orleans, they call butter beans. Now, look at these lima beans. These were dried lima beans. I bought them yesterday and I soaked them overnight, and they're actually bigger now than they were yesterday when I bought them. Now, I could have done a quick soak, which would be put them in some boiling water and then take them out of the boiling water and let them sit for half an hour. But what I did was easier. I just put them in a container full of water and stuck them in the fridge overnight. And look at how big they got. And what we're going to do with these lima beans, right? These are big, large white lima beans. We're going to make butter beans, okay? And that requires some Cajun seasoning, Creole. I use this one a lot, but I'm going to use this one today. It requires an onion, some bay leaves, some garlic powder, and interestingly enough, butter, right? Butter is going to be a dominant flavor because they're called butter beans. And this happens to be salted butter. So that I found interesting because most recipes you use unsalted butter. And then I'm going to dice up some ham halfway through the process and throw it in as well. And they're going to be fantastic. So let's get cracking. So I moved everything over to the stove. I drained those beans, right? So there they are in the pot. And now what we're going to do is just cover them with water, okay? So the way I'm going to go about doing that is I have 8 cups of water here, and I'm going to pour it in just until the beans are covered. Let's see, is that enough? Not quite. Okay, so the beans are covered, okay? And it looks like it took 4 cups. That's why I did it that way. So now I know in the future that in this pot, with that many beans, I only need 4 cups of water. Okay, I'm gonna bring those beans to the boil, and then once they're simmering, I'm gonna add the ingredients. So let's do that. You know what I'm gonna do though? Let's switch it to this back burner because it's got a bigger flame surface, right? You see it's got a larger flame, so I can get them to the boil quicker. All right, so I'm going to just throw that lid on, and once they start to boil, I'm going to then reduce it, get them to a simmer, and then I'm going to add all the other ingredients except for the ham, and then about an hour and a half to 2 hours in, because they soaked overnight, they're going to be ready. They're going to be nice and tender. So we're going to, go through the whole process nice and easy. But this is a real simple dish, and it's delicious. All right, so I'll check with you in a few minutes. Alrighty, so we're going to use 1 teaspoon, oh, the teaspoon fits here, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Put that lid on so I don't spill it. And only a half a teaspoon of my Creole seasoning. There's really not a lot of Creole, so I don't think it would have mattered which one I used because it's just going to add a hint of flavor, but it's not going to, overpower the dish. And then a couple of bay leaves, okay? And then I'm going to just dice up that onion. And here's the other interesting thing, right? Usually we saute the onion for most everything we do. But for this dish, it's just going to go in raw. So it's going to have different flavors than usual. But if you've ever had butter beans in New Orleans, you'll understand it's a delicious, delicious thing. Okay, the beans are simmering. So the first thing I'm going to add is my onions and butter. Just going to throw it in and then give it a quick stir. And Now here goes the garlic powder, Cajun seasoning, Creole actually, and the bay leaves. And then finally, yeah, that looks like the perfect color. And then finally, some fresh black pepper. And you know, if you like a little heat, you could put some crushed red pepper. But as you know, Leia does not like the heat, so I'm not going to put any hot, you know, piquant spices in this. This way, you know, everybody can enjoy it. I can always add a little hot sauce later if I want. That's plenty of black pepper. That's it. And now, in about an hour, I'm going to add the ham. So I'm going to set a timer for that. And in about an hour, I'm going to add the ham. And in about 2 hours, or an hour and a half, the beans should be tender and ready to eat. And I can tell you already it smells delicious. And that's why they call them butter beans, because there's plenty of butter. Okay, so there it is. About a cup of some diced up ham. And that's going in the butter beans right now. Butter beans have been simmering for about an hour. I'm going to throw that ham in. And then in about another half hour to an hour, well, in a half hour, I'm going to taste them, see if they're tender. If they're not tender yet, we'll come back in another half hour after that. Got it? Okay, there they are. Butter beans over a little bit of rice. Oh my goodness. We're going to have a good time today.